Good morning. I am Dr. Emma Blake, and today we are going to look closer than most men ever dare to look. We are going deep inside the biology of male performance. Not just sexual performance, but the fundamental vitality that underpins your health and your confidence. Many of you have been told that semen is a simple fluid, just a carrier for the precious cargo of DNA. I am here to tell you that this is a dangerous misconception. The seminal fluid is not a simple carrier. It is an ecosystem, a highly sophisticated metabolic soup that either gives your sperm incredible power and stamina, or leaves them slow, damaged, and essentially dead on arrival. If you are concerned about your fertility, your sexual vigor, or simply your future health, you must perform this fundamental audit, because within that fluid are three hidden, silent killers that are actively sabotaging your cellular resilience and stealing the very power and stamina your sperm needs to thrive. The modern decline in male reproductive health is not merely a number on a lab sheet. It is a crisis of energy and endurance. When we speak about sperm power, we are talking about motility, the sheer muscular force required for forward progression and speed. When we speak about sperm stamina, we are referring to viability and integrity, the cellular endurance required to survive the hostile journey and maintain the integrity of the DNA. Think of the sperm cell not as a passive swimmer, but as an Olympic athlete performing a marathon in a toxic environment. If the environment is compromised, the athlete fails, and the fluid is the environment. This fundamental shift in focus from the sperm cell itself to the soup in which it lives is the key to mastering your long-term vitality. We must decode the fluid's composition, we must identify the culprits, and we must immediately implement the counter-strategies necessary for cellular survival and peak function. The first hidden killer is a systemic energy crisis, a slow-motion starvation that leaves sperm exhausted before the race even begins. The primary, non-negotiable fuel source for the immense whiplash-like movement of the sperm tail, the very engine of its power, is fructose, not glucose, but fructose. This specialized sugar is secreted into the seminal fluid by the seminal vesicles, and it provides the necessary, rapid-release energy for motility. When this fructose supply is compromised, the sperm cell, which has very few metabolic reserves of its own, is left adrift. Its power is immediately cut, and the result is disastrously low motility, leading to a diagnosis of asthenosospermia. The root of this fructose gap is often counterintuitive. It is not always about not having enough sugar. It is about the body's inability to correctly manage and dedicate the available energy. Chronic, untreated, or poorly managed high blood sugar, a hallmark of early metabolic syndrome, can profoundly impact the quality and quantity of fructose secreted into the seminal fluid. The man who constantly experiences blood sugar peaks and troughs is subtly poisoning his entire metabolic cascade, and the cells responsible for secreting the fructose become impaired. The message here is clear. The energy efficiency of your sperm is a direct reflection of your insulin sensitivity. If your body is constantly struggling to process carbohydrates, the seminal fluid audit will show up deficient in the very fuel needed for peak power. But the energy crisis is compounded by a second, equally critical failure point: the efficiency of the sperm's tiny mitochondria, the powerhouses within the cell. These mitochondria require a specialized delivery truck to transport the necessary fatty acids, the slow-burning, enduring fuel, across the mitochondrial membrane so they can be converted into usable power. This delivery truck is the amino acid derivative L-carnitine. Think of L-carnitine as the essential key that unlocks the door to sustain sperm stamina. Without sufficient L-carnitine, even if the fructose is present, the sperm cannot efficiently utilize its reserve energy. It lacks the necessary long-distance fuel to maintain motility over the crucial hours of the journey. Therefore, the counter-strategy to the energy crisis is twofold. First, a comprehensive commitment to metabolic stability. This means eliminating refined sugars and prioritizing complex carbohydrates to smooth out those blood sugar spikes. You are not just lowering your risk for diabetes, you are quite literally fueling the engine of your vitality with clean, steady-burning gasoline. Second, you must proactively ensure the adequate presence of L-carnitine and its more bioactive form, acetyl L-carnitine. In my practice, I find that targeted, consistent supplementation of these compounds, particularly when paired with improved metabolic health, can dramatically enhance sperm power. Motility scores often improve because the mitochondria finally receive the necessary transport mechanism to fully utilize their stored energy reserves. You are restoring, not just the speed, but the endurance of the cell. This is an internal audit of your fuel supply, demanding commitment to clean, consistent energy management. The second hidden killer, the most destructive and insidious, is oxidative stress. This is the relentless, systemic erosion of the sperm's most precious cargo, the DNA itself. Oxidative stress occurs when there is an imbalance between the damaging free radicals produced by normal metabolic processes and the body's protective antioxidant defenses. In the context of seminal fluid, free radicals are microscopic bandits that attack and fragment the sperm's genetic material, stealing its stamina and severely compromising its viability. The result is DNA fragmentation, a term that should strike genuine fear into anyone pursuing vitality and longevity. When sperm DNA is fragmented, it means the genetic blueprint is literally damaged, causing cellular distress and poor survival rates. High fragmentation drastically reduces the chances of a healthy pregnancy and is again a massive barometer for poor systemic health in the man. Because where do these free radicals come from? They are byproducts of poor diet, chronic inflammation, unchecked stress, and critically, unresolved infections in the reproductive tract, such as chronic subclinical prostatitis. The seminal fluid's defense mechanism against this constant assault is its rich concentration of antioxidants. This is the protective shield, the umbrella, the defensive perimeter that must be maintained at peak strength. The audit reveals a critical dependency on 3 power players: vitamin C, vitamin E, and coenzyme Q10. These are not simply vitamins. They are the frontline soldiers deployed to neutralize the free radicals before they can attack the sperm membrane and the DNA core. If the seminal fluid is deficient in these compounds, the sperm is swimming naked in a toxic sea. Its viability, its stamina, is rapidly depleted. The counter-strategy to the DNA disaster, therefore, is an aggressive systemic antioxidant infusion. This is not just about popping a single pill, it is about structuring your diet around dense micronutrient intake. You must view every plate of food as a strategic defense against cellular decay. Prioritize deep, rich color in your vegetables. The darker the green, the richer the antioxidant load. Focus on high-quality whole food sources of zinc and selenium, which are crucial cofactors in the body's natural antioxidant enzymes. For CoQ10, a vital component of both mitochondrial function and antioxidant defense, consistent intake is non-negotiable, particularly as natural production declines with age. This battle against oxidative stress is the ultimate longevity audit, because the man whose seminal fluid is rich in antioxidants is a man whose heart, brain, and arteries are also being protected from the same cellular degradation. The power and stamina of your sperm are a direct reflection of the power and stamina of your telomeres, the protective caps on your DNA that measure cellular age. By protecting the sperm's DNA that measures cellular age, you are practicing a form of hyper-focused anti-aging that benefits every system in your body. This is not a reproductive hack, it is a systemic resilience strategy, a true commitment to proactive longevity. The third hidden killer is the easiest to fix, yet the most often ignored. The environmental assault of temperature and acidity. Sperm are perhaps the most temperature-sensitive cells in the human body. They are by design produced outside the core body cavity at a temperature approximately 2 degrees Celsius lower than the rest of the body. This is why the testicles exist externally, to maintain that critically necessary cool environment. When this thermal balance is disrupted, the sperm pay an immediate and catastrophic price in both power and stamina. Chronic heat exposure, whether from ill-fitting, tight synthetic clothing that traps heat, excessive time in hot tubs or saunas, or even the subtle chronic inflammation of a subclinical infection, causes thermal shock. This shock not only reduces sperm production, but crucially, activates a cascade of inflammatory responses within the seminal fluid. The heat literally cooks the defenses of the seminal plasma, increasing acidity and dramatically reducing viability and motility. The seminal fluid, which should be a nurturing environment, becomes hostile territory. This thermal shock is intrinsically linked to the fluid's pH balance. Seminal fluid is naturally slightly alkaline. This alkalinity is a non-negotiable requirement for optimal sperm function. It helps neutralize the naturally acidic environment of the female reproductive tract, giving the sperm a crucial window of survival and activity. However, when chronic inflammation, infection, or thermal stress sets in, the seminal fluid environment shifts towards acidity. This acidic shift is a rapid killer of sperm power and stamina. It immobilizes the flagellum, the tail, and rapidly degrades the cell membrane. If the environment's pH is wrong, even the strongest, most fructose-fueled sperm will fail to progress. The counter-strategy to the thermal and pH assault is a commitment to localized environmental control. This is the audit of your daily habits. First, embrace the mantra of scrotal cooling. Switch to loose-fitting, natural fiber undergarments, prioritizing breathable cotton or bamboo. Implement brief, daily cold exposure to the testicular area, such as a cold compress or a cold rinse at the end of a shower. This is not some fringe biohack, it is simply respecting the anatomy's fundamental need for a lowered operating temperature. Second, address the underlying systemic inflammation that often creates an acidic internal environment. This means resolving any chronic, hidden infections that may be lingering. It means radically reducing consumption of pro-inflammatory foods, excess sugars, refined seed oils, which drive cellular acidity. By reducing inflammation, you are normalizing the body's systemic pH, which in turn helps the prostate and seminal vesicles maintain the optimal alkaline medium that maximizes sperm power and stamina. You are transforming a hostile environment back into a nurturing ecosystem. Now that we have isolated the three primary killers, the energy gap, the DNA damage, and the environmental stress, we must ask the most fundamental question. What is the common denominator? What factor accelerates all three failures simultaneously? The answer is chronic, low-grade systemic inflammation. This is the fourth overarching killer that acts as an amplifier, turning minor issues into catastrophic failures of sperm power and stamina. This inflammation is often rooted not in the reproductive tract itself, but in the gut-sperm axis, a profound connection that few men understand. Your gut lining, the single-cell barrier that separates your digestive system from your bloodstream, is responsible for filtering out undigested food particles and toxins. When this lining becomes compromised, a condition commonly referred to as leaky gut or increased intestinal permeability, large molecules slip into the bloodstream. The immune system registers these particles as invaders, triggering a state of alert and chronic inflammation throughout the body. This systemic inflammatory alert is disastrous for the reproductive system. Why? Because inflammation directly compromises your metabolic stability. Killer 1. Driving insulin resistance and depleting fructose stores. It simultaneously generates a torrent of free radicals. Killer 2. Accelerating the oxidative stress that fragments sperm DNA, and it shifts your entire internal environment toward acidity. Killer 3. Destroying the optimal alkaline medium needed for motility. The root of your sperm's lack of power and stamina is often the fire burning in your gut. The body has a final, delicate defense, known as the blood-testis barrier. It is one of the most protected biological sanctuaries in the male body, designed to shield developing sperm from the immune system, preventing autoimmunity. However, chronic systemic inflammation and the constant deluge of inflammatory cytokines from a leaky gut can compromise the integrity of this delicate barrier. When that barrier is breached, the immune system may attack the developing sperm cells themselves, recognizing them as foreign invaders due to the chronic state of alert. This creates a powerful, self-destructive loop. Inflammation causes permeability. Permeability triggers immune response, and the immune response devastates the quality and survival rate of the sperm. The counter-strategy to this inflammation amplification loop is an immediate commitment to gut repair. This involves radically eliminating inflammatory triggers, especially gluten, excessive refined sugar, and processed seed oils, and actively nourishing the gut lining with prebiotic fibers and high-quality probiotics. You are not just improving your digestion, you are calming the internal fire that is actively cooking your defense mechanisms and sabotaging your cellular power. By healing the gut, you stabilize the immune system, lower oxidative stress, and restore the metabolic foundation necessary for true sperm stamina. This deep commitment to internal tranquility is the final non-negotiable step in mastering your vitality. The seminal fluid audit demands that you stop thinking about male vitality as a single number, a testosterone level or a sperm count, and start thinking about it as a holistic ecosystem. Your commitment to proactive longevity is measured not just in how long you live, but in the enduring quality of your cellular energy and resilience. By reversing the 4 hidden killers, by solving the energy crisis with metabolic mastery, by defeating the DNA disaster with an antioxidant shield, by eliminating the thermal and pH assault with environmental control, and by calming the inflammation amplification loop through gut repair, you are not just optimizing your reproductive potential, You are strengthening the very foundations of your cardiovascular health, your hormonal balance, and your overall stamina. This is the ultimate investment in yourself, a commitment to the enduring power and confidence that comes when your biology is operating at its absolute peak efficiency. It is time to step up and perform your own audit. Dr. Emma Blake, prioritizing your health and your confidence. Thank you for watching.